Episode 9, Cultural Mediation and Multimodal Translation. In the digital age, translation means overcoming artificial intelligence's cultural limitations. AI systems process massive datasets, but they completely lack human context. That's exactly where human mediators step in to bridge the gap. Section 1, the cultural blind spot, or điểm mù văn hóa. So the cultural blind spot, điểm mù văn hóa, defines a massive limitation in machine translation. AI relies heavily on statistical probability. It just doesn't possess lived human experience. Large language models process text purely as data tokens. Because of this, AI models strip texts of their unique cultural flavor, creating a heavy westernized bias. The result? Pragmatic flattening. The intended social meaning is just entirely lost. Section 2, Semiotic Blindness in AI, or mù ký hiệu hậu. Semiotic blindness, mù ký hiệu hậu, is the AI's inability to interpret signs as part of a dynamic social system. Language is a complex network of signs. AI processes the linguistic layers fine, but it completely misses the broader cultural resonance. It misses the intertextuality of historical allusions. It misses loanwords. It totally ignores complex social hierarchies. Consequently, AI produces highly literal translations of deep cultural concepts. For example, AI treats a traditional Vietnamese ritual like les amgõ merely as a set of tokens, totally failing to recognize the underlying values of familial hierarchy and solemnity. Human translators have to step in as strategic mediators to solve these AI-generated literal hallucinations. Take the English phrase black sheep. AI translates this literally as con cú đen, but Vietnamese culture doesn't use a black sheep to represent family disgrace. A human mediator corrects this semiotic blandness. They use a functional equivalent like de con fa gia chi tu. Section 3, Domestication versus Foreignization, or thuần hóa và ngoại lai hóa. These two strategies represent a fundamental choice in translation. Domestication, known as thuần hóa, minimizes foreignness for maximum readability. On the flip side, foreignization, known as ngoại lai hóa, preserves the source culture's identity for maximum authenticity. The absolute crucial point regarding domestication is adaptation. The goal here is maximum readability and impact for the target audience. It minimizes foreignness. Human mediators actively adapt texts for local environments. Consider the English phrase, as white as snow. Snow is obviously not a primary cultural referent in tropical climates. So a human mediator uses domestication to change this to trắng như bông, meaning white as cotton. This makes immediate intuitive sense to the target culture. Conversely, foreignization aims to preserve the source culture's authenticity. It intentionally retains original terms. You'll see the strategy used frequently in high-register environments or culinary contexts. Retaining loanwords preserves the prestige and authentic vibe of the source culture. Great examples include words like sushi, aodai, or omakase. Translating omakase into a literal local phrase completely destroys the luxury and cultural trust associated with the original Japanese concept. Humans also utilize two additional strategies. Functional equivalence neutralizes cultural terms. For instance, the provocative word sexy is translated to the more neutral quyến rũ to maintain a professional register. Then there's descriptive translation. This involves expanding texts to explain concepts that just lack simple equivalents. For example, integrated resort becomes khu nghỉ dưỡng phức hợp đa chức năng. Section 4, Multimodal Coherence and UX, or tính mạch lạc đa phương thức. Multimodal coherence, tính mạch lạc đa phương thức, is the strategic alignment of text, imagery, and sound to create a seamless user experience, or UX. You see, modern translation isn't just a monomodal activity. Meaning is co-constructed across multiple channels simultaneously. The following semiotic channels must align perfectly: textual strings, visual imagery and symbolism, auditory cues and speech rhythms, and interface spatial constraints. These elements are absolutely critical in digital media, video games, and user interfaces. AI tends to process text in isolated strings. It completely ignores visual and audio contexts. Human mediators, however, provide holistic semiotic integration. Humans adapt text to harmonize with visual compositions, cinematic timing, and strict spatial limits on digital screens. Let's consider a real-world case of visual textual alignment. An advertisement for a luxury smart apartment uses the text, "Upgrade your life." AI translates upgrade literally as nâng cấp,
But that carries a technical software update connotation which totally contradicts the luxury visual. Human interpretation matches the aesthetic composition. A human mediator translates it as an aspirational lifestyle choice, perfectly aligning the text with the visual luxury.
Humans also manage strict temporal, spatial, and functional constraints. Subtitles require exact synchronization with physical screen limits and reading speeds. Dialogue rhythm has to match visual action and emotional subtext. In user interfaces, button text literally must fit the UX spatial limits. Plus, terminology must remain consistent across platforms to prevent user confusion. Translated text has to contribute directly to a frictionless user experience.
Section 5. Human AI Hybrid Translation, or ZICTOTLAI.
Hybrid intelligence, THEIELTSFOCUS, is a framework where translation performance depends entirely on continuous interaction. Machine efficiency provides speed, scalability, and pattern recognition, but human contextual reasoning provides interpretation and pragmatic control. This necessary synergy is what overcomes both semiotic blindness and the cultural blind spot.
Consequently, the roles of the translator have evolved. They are no longer just mere language converters. They're intentional overseers of meaning management. Their modern roles include post-editor, communicative mediator, AI supervisor, and prompt architect. They specifically design parameters to ensure AI output truly resonates with target audience values.
So the core theory here is this. Translation must overcome the AI's cultural blind spot and semiotic blindness. This includes handling historical allusions, loan words, and ensuring text aligns perfectly with visual and auditory cues in digital media. This requires active human mediation. It's the only way to achieve true multimodal coherence across texts, visuals, and digital environments. So how will hybrid intelligence further change global communication?
This video is brought to you by the IELTS FOCUS 0847705973, an English center specializing in IELTS preparation.